Who doesn't need increased speed? Who doesn't need block buffs or debuffs? And who doesn't need a cleanse on your team? Oh, yeah, and a reviver. Like, all the things you could want. Oh, passive healing? Yeah, I forgot about that, too. Oh, she has a speed aura. Great. Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today I want to take a peek at who I'm calling Duchess Light, Elva Autumnborn, an absolutely insane champion. She's so good, guys. This is definitely one of those champions where we all wish she was the fusion, because her utility is off the charts. Basically, in my opinion, she's kind of like Duchess Light. I mean, I say that as someone that doesn't have a Duchess and will, you know, grasp at anybody that's even close to it. She's very close to it and brings a lot of utility to this game, and I think it's actually really, really good. So I see her being able to be used in more than a couple spots. You can definitely use her in Clan Boss, and I will have some videos coming out showcasing her in a Clan Boss team, so you want to check that out when that comes up. Not out yet, but it should be soon. And then you're also going to want to, you know, definitely kind of utilize her in other areas of this game, right? She's going to be really good in arena. She's going to be really good in dungeons. She's going to be great in Doom Tower. I don't really see any area in this game where she's not going to be a useful champion to bring in. Now, as always, nobody's the, you know, everybody's got to be utilized within the team. So it's not like she's going to be great in all areas of the game compared to every other champion, but she is really top notch. One of the best champions out there because of all the stuff that she brings to the kit. So let's go ahead. We'll take a look at her kit, get an idea of how she works, and then we'll test her in a couple different areas of the game so you guys can get a feel for how to utilize her, where she might be best, and how you might want to build her. We'll try probably a couple different builds with that. I really appreciate you coming by to watch this video, and if you enjoy it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. And of course, if you enjoyed today's music, we have that Soundstripe link down below in the pinned comment description of this video, along with my code Deadwood Jedi to save yourself 15%. And of course, if you're looking for account work, you can find that on my website, deadwoodjedi.com. All right, this is Elva Autumnborn. Pretty awesome champion here. She looks super cool. I just love this look with like the red leaves, but it's kind of like burning into her bark-like skin as well. Just a very cool looking champion. I really dig it, especially with the spear and stuff. Super awesome. But let's look at her kit, right? That's what it's about. Her A1 right here, continuous heal buff for 2 turns on the ally with the lowest HP. This is a single target attack. It's attack based, right? But it gets a continuous heal buff out there. I mean, that's okay. It's nothing crazy, nothing writing home about. And honestly, I wish this skill did a little bit more for us. I feel like that would be more advantageous, you know, but as it is, it's not a bad skill, right? It definitely doesn't hurt us. Just add some more healing, which is definitely a big part of her kit. Her A2 ability, this is the one that's so nice. This basically books up to 100%, removes all debuffs from all allies, and places a block debuff and an increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. This is a Duchess style skill, right? You get a full cleanse, blocking debuffs for 2 turns, and increasing our speed for 2 turns. That's everything you could want, really, in one little package. It's incredibly strong. I absolutely love this. You can utilize her in arena with this as like a cleanser for maybe a go second team. You can utilize this in Clan Boss in place of like Eris for a Myth Air team. There's a lot of ways that you can utilize this skill. She's excellent. Definitely love her. And then her A3, single target revive. Now, single target revive is definitely the worst kind of revive, right? We definitely want an AoE if we can, but single target, okay, whatever. The cool part about this kit, right? Yeah, it revives them with 40% HP, 50% turn meter. Both those numbers are actually kind of low and a little bit disappointing, to be honest. I wish that was, you know, maybe 100% turn meter type of thing, but as it is, not terrible. You get an increased defense buff and an increased attack buff on that ally. That's okay. But the big thing about this skill, the reason why this is actually a good skill, is it's on a 3-turn cooldown. Now, the only champion I know that has a faster revive than this is Raglan, who's on a 2-turn cooldown. But a 3-turn cooldown for a single target revive is really good. This means you're able to revive your allies pretty quickly if one of them goes down. That's a really nice thing. But of course, one of the best parts about her kit is her passive ability, which heals each ally by 10% of their max HP at the start of their turn. This is a great skill, right? This is kind of sort of a Duchess skill, sort of a Siphi skill, kind of a Silva Drake style skill, or even like a what's her name, Rector Drath, right? There are lots of champions that have these kind of healing every single turn for your allies. This is another one of them. It's really good. Also nice that it's on their turn, right? It would probably be better if it was on her turn, because then you could build her super fast and just get that over and over again. But as it is, that's still a very nice ability right there. Also places a perfect Veil buff for 1 turn on the ally with the lowest HP at the end of this champion's turn. This is actually a really underrated thing. In Arena, this actually helps a lot, right? The lowest HP is usually your nuker, so getting a free Veil on them, that's pretty good, right? And you can probably, you know, make that work for you as far as, you know, figuring out, what would you call it, like HP tuning your team, exactly, you know. So the lowest HP champion is always going to be the one that is either really hurt or your damage dealer, right? And it can help protect them. So she's got some really nice stuff in her kit. Not to mention she's got a speed aura, 19% for all battles. So she kind of has everything you'd want, right? Obviously, there are some things that would, you know, if there were some small changes, could make her a really top tier champion. Bumping that speed aura a little bit would be nice. More turn meter on the revive would be great. You know, something a little bit better than just a single continuous heal off the A1. But I'll be honest, if you did any of those things, this would be kind of an OP champion. As it is, I think she's a wonderful addition to the game. Not really overpowering anybody that's already out there, doesn't change any of the metas, but she gives you another really viable option for a lot of the teams you're going to run. Because who doesn't need increased speed? Who doesn't need block buffs or debuffs, and who doesn't need a cleanse on your team? Oh, yeah, and a reviver. Like, all the things you could want. Oh, passive healing? Yeah, I forgot about that, too. Oh, she has a speed aura. Great. Literally everything that you want on a champion, she's going to bring. So I think she's great. What I want to do is I want to kind of showcase her in a couple different spots. I got some footage I took of her in Arena with some teams, and so we're going to showcase a little bit of that. I have her built right now because I built her for Clan Boss, so she's kind of in a damage build at the moment. So I'm going to show that one off as well, and then I'm going to retool her as how I would actually probably build her for my teams, right? Whether that comes to doing dungeon runs or Doom Tower, the kind of style of build I would actually put on her, maybe even for like something like Hydra, and we'll take her in a couple dungeons. You can see how that's going to be effective. So real quick, just so you can kind of see what I have her in, obviously some speed gear. Right now, basically I have her 244 speed and 76% crit rate. We had an aura, 223 crit damage, and 3,700 attack. Pretty heavy. Now, as with all these Sylvan champions, Faction Guardians aren't filled. It's going to be a big damage boost if you can fill that up. Obviously, the artifacts all suck, so that'll be a big boost if you can fill that up as well. Now, the rest of her kit, she's not built to sustain or survive. So we're not going to worry about that. Masteries, it's all offensive masteries down to War Master. So I want to take her into Dragon, and I want to kind of showcase just a little bit. We're not going to take a lot of time. Just show the kind of damage that she can do there, because I think it's going to be... You know, we'll see. We'll see what kind of damage she can do, I'll say. Now, she is a blue affinity champion, so stage 25 is not going to work, but I can take her here into stage 24. We can get a single target damage off a couple times and see kind of how well we do, right? That's sort of the idea here. In fact, I think I need... Let's go ahead and bring in Ruella so we can get a crit rate buff as well. I feel like that would be beneficial for us so we can see her when she does crit. If you can build these kind of stats on her and get her to crit, I think you'll get a kick out of it. So let's go in. Let's see how this works. Okay. So obviously I took it off auto. I'm not going to bother with that. A1 there. Here's a crit rate buff. So she'll have 100% crit rate. She will crit now. We'll get decreased defense and weaken out from Lydia. And now, obviously, normally we'd use the A2, right? Block, debuff, increase speed, but we don't need that. We're testing her damage, and she only has the 1 damage skill. So I'm going to go ahead and target Spirit Host here. Boom. 37,000 damage. I mean, you know, that's cool, I guess, right? There's nothing really special about that. But, you know, hey, it's better than nothing. I don't think that's a bad result at all. We'll see. Let's try it one more time here. See what we get. Boom, 34,000. It's not a bad damage skill. She's got solid multipliers on that A1, and if you can build her with enough attack, with enough crit damage, she can do some decent work for you. But she's definitely not a damage dealer. Okay, I've rebuilt Elva to be more how I think she should be built, right? I'm talking very tanky, maybe with a lot of resistance. You can kind of do with or without it, right? You build your resistance to the level of the content that you're facing. And because she brings block debuffs, we probably don't need it for most of the stuff I'm going to be showing her, right? Only when there's people that are actually removing those buffs is that where we're going to really want to worry about that. Maybe for Ice Golem or Spider or something like that. But generally, I don't think you're actually going to need the resistance. But I built it anyway because why not? And so you can just factor in. If you don't build resistance, you can put those stats into HP or defense or speed, which is probably what I'd recommend as an alternative approach. But the way I have her built, right? Obviously, I have a couple resistance sets on her, Fortitude, a lot of defense at 4K, 55,000 HP. Probably should bump the HP more than the defense at this point, but it's fine. 230 speed, right? So she still is fast, so she's going to be able to take multiple turns, which is good to make sure that we're cleansing all the debuffs on our allies or blocking them. And then the resistance at 570, I think, is really nice. Mastery-wise, you can see we went down the support tree here to maximize our healing, as well as the defensive tree to get extra resistance. So that's how I approach this, and I think it's a pretty good result that we're going to get out of this. I mean, we'll see. I don't really know. I haven't really tested her in these areas yet, so we're going to see. I'm going to put together a team, and we'll take her through her paces in a couple different dungeons. Okay, so I'm going to take her into Dragon here. Now, I'm actually going to just go with a 3-man team. I've got Stagnite, I've got Martyr, and I've got Elva. And the reason why I'm going to bring these champions in is they're going to give me AoE, decreased defense, decreased attack. I'm going to have increased defense from Martyr, help give a little sustain. But basically, the only healing is going to be coming from Elva. Now, I do have a shield set on Stagnite to help kind of prevent some of the damage initially, just actually how he's built. It's not like I'm trying to do that. But I feel like this should be a pretty good idea because it's not a huge team, right? So it's probably not going to be a fast run, especially against the boss. But we'll see how well can Elva sustain this team in this scenario. She's actually weak affinity too, so she's not getting a lot of benefits of the doubt here, but we'll be able to get a pretty good idea how well she can sustain, how well she can keep this team alive, which I think is her main goal, right? She's going to be bringing us increased speed, she's going to be bringing us block debuffs and cleansing and revive. And so I'm really curious to see how this works. We don't have any other healing outside of her either. And so it should be pretty interesting, I think, to see, you know, what kind of skills she could do. Now, obviously, you guys can play with the 5-man team, right? So even though we see Martyr here going with the, you know, the counterattacks, we've got the provoke, we've got that shield set, you guys have access to all this stuff. Even if you don't have a Martyr, you've definitely got multiple champions you can bring in, 2 extras, in fact, to kind of help with this. Whether that means bringing some additional healing, some ally protection, some debuffs. You know, I feel like a miscreated monster would be absolutely insanely good here, but I didn't want to use all those kinds of champions, right? So I figured this would be a good mix, a good blend to kind of see. And you can see, we're not dying whatsoever. That heal is significant, you know, 10%, but every turn a champion goes, which is great. The block debuffs is fantastic, and the increased speed is so nice because our champions are able to take multiple turns for every one that the enemy takes, right? They are like at 230 speed or 225 speed or something like that. So they're definitely faster. But if you're stuck on one of these dungeons, right, and you're not building a super speed team with like a Seer or a, you know, a Elenaro or a Zavi or something like that, I think she's going to be insanely good for you to keep your team alive. Now, of course, you're probably going, well, that's great and everything, Deadwood, but what do we do? What does that matter, right? Like, dungeons are easy. I'm getting through that, no problem. Well, what this tells us, I think, is actually how we would utilize her in harder content. Things like Hydra, things like Doom Tower, where you can't nuke your way through every wave all the time. I mean, I know there's some endgame people that can do that, but for most of us, it's a little bit more of a challenge. Well, I think she slots in perfectly, right? Even if you are running a nuke team, I think she works really good. Like, let's take somebody like Seer. Well, she's bringing a couple of different buffs to the table. Not only does she add those continuous heals with that A1, which is actually really nice and helps a lot with the healing. Not only does she bring that veil periodically here, which I don't know if you've been noticing, but it has been going up pretty much every time as well, helping prevent her from taking damage at the moment. But she also brings that block debuff, that, you know, the cleanse ability, little things that can really help your team stay alive. So I think in Doom Tower, she's actually going to be extremely good, and I think that's where we're going to end up taking her next. All right, I'm going to take her in with my Doom Tower team here. This is stage 119. This is the last stage of the floors themselves. So we'll take her in here. Obviously, I got my Krisk. I've got my, you know, what I call it, Yumeko, my Seer for the nuke, Lydia there. So it's definitely a strong team, right? That's not even a question. But I feel like with all the stuff that we bring to the table, we can still be really effective. So in some respects, she's a nice little substitute for somebody like a Sify on your team. Now, obviously, this team might be absolutely awful for me to try to take down just due to, you know, everything that's available right now. Not really the best there. And her revive's not as strong as with some other people. So that's definitely going to be the negative. And obviously the 2 Rhodoses kind of suck for this, to be honest. Not my favorite thing to bring in. But we'll see how this goes. Get the nuke out from Seer. And you know what's great about this? Actually, that Veil is keeping my Seer alive, who often will be dead by now. But because we have that Veil, Seer's still trucking, right? Usually what happens is she gets targeted once, she gets targeted again and again, just kind of like that. And she'll never get a chance to actually take her turns or revive or whatever it is. But thankfully, that's not an issue. And because that revives on a 3-turn cooldown, it's back up already again, which is absolutely fantastic. So I think we're actually going to be able to get through these. These waves honestly give me such a hard time. I usually have to do this like multiple times to get through it, and I'm shocked that we're actually able to get through this on one go right now on auto of all things. I usually end up having to manual it. So this is I'm rather impressed, to be honest with you. Rather impressed right now. Not at all what I had expected. Okay, normally I have a Mithrala in this team instead of Drexthar. I have a Sify instead of Elva, but I figured this is going to give us a really good chance to see what she can do. She's going to be the only one that can block debuffs or cleanse on our team, right? And so we'll just rely on some HP burn from all these champions and see what we can't do if we can survive. She's the only healing we have on this team, right? It should be a pretty good example of, you know, what we can do potentially here, right? Got that cleanse. Look, a bunch of people froze thanks to Torment out there on the enemy team, and it didn't matter. We were able to cleanse it all because of Elva, get the block debuffs up. Now we don't really have to worry about that at all anymore. I think just really impressive champion, quite frankly. So we're gonna get through the waves and then we'll get to the boss and see how we do. Okay, here we are at the boss. Now actually most of the skills are on cooldown right now, which is not ideal, but all the same, we're gonna be able to get an even better chance to see exactly how this works. Now she does have resistance along with my Drexthar, so hopefully they won't get frozen, period. And you're gonna see eventually she's gonna be the one to cleanse all the debuffs off our allies, but obviously that might take a minute here. But you know, being able to, you know, deal with those debuffs is going to be absolutely massive and really important for her to be able to do. And that's it right there. We got the cleanse, we're going faster with increased speed, we have the block debuffs up, and at this point it should be pretty easy. So he does strip those buffs, obviously that's a problem, right? And because we don't have continuous cleansing over and over and over again, maybe she's not going to be ideal for this, but I think you can get an idea of how she could be effective, right? If you can build everywhere with enough resistance, then you don't have to worry about it. But even if you don't, you know, the fact that she's going to be able to at least cleanse periodically or keep 1 or 2 of your resistance champions, you know, unfettered, then that's a pretty good spot to be at. And we're actually getting through this pretty quickly here, right? Obviously the waves took us quite a while, but everything else is going pretty smoothly. And you can see, you know, how it's going right now. So anyway, that's it. I'll let you guys kind of, you know, we'll see how this goes. I feel like she's going to be incredibly good for most areas of this game, right? I would imagine she's going to be great for the Griffin. I think if you can time her cleanse ability, that's going to be really good with the Griffin, especially. You know, she brings a lot of really quality buffs for your team, and being able to block a lot of the debuffs and cleanse the ones that, you know, can't be resisted is really helpful. The fact that all of her skills on our low cooldown could make her really good for the, you know, the Nether Dragon, Elder Dragon, whichever one that is. That's a really tough boss as well. Obviously things like Bommel she could be really nice for. A lot of buffs, right? And that's not always the best thing, but the fact that, you know, she does a lot of healing, does, you know, some really good things, gave me increased speed, the block debuffs, those are all really valuable things to bring. So if you can build a proper team around her, I feel like she could be insanely good for you. So yeah, there's some definitely, I mean, she's keeping this entire team alive, right? You know, with the extra healing here, you know, coming on every one of their turns, there's extra healing. She's still tossing out those continuous heals. There's a lot to like about her kit, and I feel like she's gonna be really useful in pretty much every area of this game. There you go. Wasn't crazy bad to do that. It took us forever to get through the waves, but the boss itself was pretty quick and easy. And we were never in any danger of being killed at all, which was, I think, pretty impressive, quite frankly, because she does so much healing. It was great. So yeah, I really like Elva for this. I think she's going to be pretty much great everywhere we use her. So I'm going to take that same Doom Tower build I had with the high resistance and, you know, the 230 speed, pretty solid defensive stats, and I'm going to take her into Arena. Now, I'm actually going to showcase this team a little bit later because I was playing around with a lot of the new Sylvan champs in Arena. I was having a lot of fun with it, and so it'll just be like a fun little video, but I figured I can showcase this team. We'll do one run. This is Chofly's team, Chosen's team, and I think we might win. We might lose. I'm not quite sure. But this should give us a pretty good idea of how she can be useful for our squad. So we'll jump in here and see if this can work. There is a, you know, a torment on the enemy team that's obviously going to be a bit of an issue. A lot of freezes that, you know, the provokes that you can see right there. But what we're going to do, come in right away, cleanse all those debuffs, put the block debuff off on everybody, and all of a sudden now we are in a really good position here, and we can kind of come in and start doing some work with our champions, right? And it doesn't matter, you know, people are gonna die, that's fine. We have a reviver. That's her. She's a reviver. She's really good at that, right? So there's a lot of really cool options here with her. I think she's gonna be extremely good for us, and yeah, that's kind of what we're doing here. So we'll give this a little look-see and kind of play around with some of these champions. I'll get that revive. You can see she healed herself pretty heavily there, which was awesome. The revive's nice. And this is where that veil comes in really nicely. All of a sudden, you know, they have our main damage dealer here is now a little bit more protected, which is, I think, really important. And allows the rest of our champions to kind of do the work that they're supposed to be doing. And look at that heal. Almost 50% of her life came back. I think that's pretty significant right there. So yeah, I think she's got a lot of potential, a lot of stuff I really like about her. Okay, guys, that's Elva Autumnborn. Absolutely love this champion. I think she's one of the best champions in this fusion. She's just so good everywhere. Her kit makes a lot of sense, right? There's a lot of synergy. I really like the veil off of her passive ability. I think that's going to be a really underrated ability that she has, and something that's just going to keep your team alive when you least expect it. All of a sudden somebody gets low and hey, they're veiled because Autumn went. It's really nice, like, skill, and she brings a lot of healing to the table, a lot of speed, and of course the cleanse and the blocking debuffs is really nice. So she's definitely a champion that I think everybody's gonna enjoy getting and be very valuable for your account. So somebody that's, I don't know, she's very cool. She's very cool. So anyway, guys, I just want to let you know about that. Hopefully you found this informative, helpful, whatever it is. Mostly, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss another one of these videos. I will have a video with her and Clan Boss. That should be my next video I put out there, so keep an eye out for that. It's a pretty cool tune, very different, so I think you guys are going to enjoy that. Anyway, that's all we got for today, so till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.